Pain is a doorway, not a wall. Most people treat pain as a stop sign. It's actually a door. Every single time your body screams to quit, that's the exact moment your mind starts to grow. Comfort never built anyone. It only preserved who they already were. The shocking truth is that people spend their whole lives running from the one thing that could transform them. Discomfort is not your enemy. It's the entrance fee to becoming someone new. When you feel that burn, that fatigue, that voice begging you to stop, that's not a signal to retreat. That's a signal you finally reached the part of yourself that matters. Weak people avoid that door forever. Strong people walk straight through it on purpose every single day, even when nobody's watching and there's no reward waiting on the other side except the quiet knowledge that you didn't fold. This is why suffering, chosen voluntarily, is the single greatest tool for building an unshakable mind. You don't need motivation for this. Motivation is unreliable. It shows up when it feels like it and disappears when you need it most. What you need is a decision made once to treat every hard moment as training instead of torture. The people who understand this stop fearing difficulty altogether. They start hunting for it because they know that's where the real version of themselves is hiding, waiting to be earned. Your comfort zone is a slow death. Comfort feels safe, but it's quietly killing your potential every single day you stay in it. The body and mind are designed to adapt to whatever environment you give them. Give them ease, and they will make you weak on purpose, because that's all that's required to survive there. This is the shocking part. Comfort isn't neutral, it's actively working against you. Every day you choose the easy option, you are training yourself to fold under pressure later, when it truly counts. Meanwhile, the world keeps moving, keeps demanding more, and one day you'll be forced into a hard moment you never prepared for. And you'll break, because you spent years avoiding exactly that kind of resistance. Strength isn't something you're born with. It's manufactured through repeated exposure to things that are uncomfortable, inconvenient, and undesirable. That's why cold showers, hard workouts, early mornings, and difficult conversations matter. Not because of what they directly produce, but because of who they force you to become in the process. You are literally building a calloused mind, one uncomfortable rep at a time. The people who seem naturally tough didn't get lucky. They made a decision, long before anyone was clapping for them, to stop choosing the easy path. If you want a different life, you cannot keep making the same comfortable choices that built the life you're currently unhappy with. Change the choice, change the person, change the outcome. Your mind will lie to you first. Before your body ever fails you, your mind fails you first. And it lies constantly. It tells you you're too tired, too busy, too injured, not ready yet. Here's the shocking reality. Most limits people hit aren't physical. They're a story the brain tells to protect you from effort it doesn't want to spend. The mind is wired for survival, not greatness. So its default setting is to stop you the moment things get hard, long before your actual capacity runs out. This is why so many capable people quit at 40% of their real potential and call it their max. They believe the first lie their mind told them. Mental strength isn't the absence of these lies. It's recognizing them the instant they show up and refusing to negotiate. You have to build a habit of questioning that inner voice. Is this actually my limit? Or is this just my mind trying to save energy? 9 times out of 10, there's another gear hiding underneath the excuse. The individuals who accomplish extraordinary things aren't immune to doubt or fatigue. They just don't obey it. They've trained themselves to keep moving even while the mind screams to stop, because they know the screaming isn't truth. It's just noise designed to keep them small and safe. Once you understand your own mind is not always on your side, you stop trusting every uncomfortable thought as fact. And that single shift changes everything about how far you're willing to go. Accountability is the only real motivation. Motivation is a feeling, and feelings are unreliable. They show up for a moment and vanish exactly when you need them most. What actually gets things done is brutal, honest accountability. The kind where you look at yourself and refuse to accept excuses you'd happily accept from someone else. The shocking truth is that most people are gentle with themselves in exactly the moments they need to be ruthless. They let themselves off the hook. They rationalize the missed workout, the broken promise, the abandoned goal. And every time they do, they teach their own mind that their word means nothing. That's the real damage, not the missed day, but the erosion of self-trust. Once you can't trust your own commitments to yourself, everything gets harder, because deep down you know you'll probably quit again. Real mental strength is built by becoming someone who does what they said they would do, especially when the feeling to do it is completely gone. This means checking in with yourself constantly, not to be cruel, but to be honest. Did I actually give my best today? Or did I settle for looking busy? The people who build extraordinary lives are not the most talented or the most gifted. They are simply the most accountable to themselves when no one else is checking. That accountability becomes a foundation stronger than any burst of motivation could ever be. Because it doesn't depend on how you feel. It depends on who you've decided to become. Suffering has a purpose you haven't unlocked yet. Most people see suffering as something to escape as fast as possible. But suffering, when approached correctly, is actually information. It's showing you exactly where your weaknesses live. Here's the shocking part. The very things you're avoiding are usually the exact things that would fix you the fastest. Every uncomfortable task you dodge is a locked door with your next level standing behind it. When you finally stop running from difficulty and start studying it instead, asking, what is this teaching me? What is this revealing about me? Suffering transforms from an enemy into the most honest teacher you'll ever have. It doesn't lie to you the way comfort does. Comfort will tell you you're fine while you slowly become nothing. Suffering tells you the truth immediately. Here is where you're soft. Here is where you fold. Here is exactly what needs to change. People who achieve extraordinary things aren't people who suffered less. They're people who learn to extract a lesson from every hard moment instead of just enduring it and moving on unchanged. This is the difference between someone who goes through hardship and stays the same person, and someone who goes through hardship and comes out completely rebuilt. The pain is identical for both people. The only difference is what they chose to do with it afterward. Your standards determine your ceiling. Most people set goals, but goals are temporary and forgettable. Standards are what actually define your life. A goal is something you occasionally chase. A standard is something you refuse to fall below, no matter what. The shocking truth is that low standards are the quiet reason most people's lives look exactly the way they did 5 years ago. You can want change all you want, but if your daily standard for effort, discipline, and honesty with yourself stays the same, nothing will ever move. Raising your standards means deciding in advance what you will and won't accept from yourself regardless of mood, weather, or circumstance. It's not about motivation on any given day. It's about identity. When your standard is excellence, showing up poorly simply isn't an option you allow yourself to consider, the same way a disciplined person doesn't consider skipping brushing their teeth. The gap between where you are and where you want to be isn't a talent gap. It's a standards gap. This is why two people with identical circumstances end up in completely different places. One tolerated mediocrity from themselves, and one refused to. Raise the bar for what you accept is good enough, and your entire life is forced to rise to meet it because you stop giving yourself permission to settle. What if everything you've been told about strength is a lie designed to keep you comfortable? What if the version of you that exists right now, tired, uncertain, holding back, isn't actually your limit, but a story your own mind invented to keep you safe from effort? Sit with that for a second, because it should disturb you. You were never taught to suffer on purpose. You were taught to avoid it. Every system around you, comfort, convenience, shortcuts, was built to make your life easier. And in doing so, it made you softer without your permission. Nobody warned you that comfort has a price, and the price is your potential, paid quietly, one easy decision at a time. until one day you wake up and wonder why you feel weak in a moment that demanded strength. Here's the truth nobody wants to say out loud: pain is not your enemy. Pain is information. It's the universe handing you a map directly to your weaknesses, and most people burn that map instead of reading it. They run from the burn, the exhaustion, the discomfort, the awkward conversation, the hard choice. And every time they run, they teach their own mind that discomfort means danger. It doesn't. Discomfort means growth is available. Discomfort is the doorway. Weak minds see a wall. Strong minds see an invitation. Your mind will lie to you before your body ever does. It will tell you that you're too tired, too busy, not ready. That voice isn't truth. It's a survival mechanism trying to conserve energy at the expense of your future. The moment you stop treating that inner voice as fact is the moment you unlock a version of yourself you didn't know existed. Somewhere underneath every excuse is another gear. Most people never shift into it because they believe the first lie their own mind told them. Motivation will abandon you. It always does. It shows up when it feels like it and disappears exactly when you need it most. What replaces motivation is brutal accountability. The willingness to look at yourself honestly and refuse the excuses you'd forgive in anyone else. Every time you let yourself off the hook, you teach yourself that your word means nothing. And once you can't trust your own promises to yourself, everything becomes heavier because deep down, you already expect to quit. Suffering has a purpose you haven't unlocked yet. It's not punishment. It's the most honest teacher you'll ever have. Comfort lies to you gently while you fade into nothing. Suffering tells you the truth immediately. Here's where you're soft. Here's what needs to change. The people who build extraordinary lives aren't the ones who suffered less. They're the ones who extracted a lesson from every hard moment instead of just surviving it and staying the same. And underneath all of it is one simple truth. Your standards determine your ceiling. Not your goals, your standards. A goal is something you chase occasionally. A standard is something you refuse to fall below, regardless of mood, weather, or circumstance. Raise what you're willing to accept from yourself, and your entire life is forced to rise with it. Because you stop giving yourself permission to settle for less than what you're capable of. So what if today is the day you stop negotiating with the version of you that wants to quit? What if the discomfort you've been avoiding your entire life is the exact thing standing between you and who you're supposed to become? Nobody is coming to build this for you. No one is coming to make the decision for you. It has always been you, in the mirror, deciding whether you'll keep running from the hard thing or finally walk straight through it. Strength was never about the absence of pain, doubt, or exhaustion. It was always about what you choose to do the moment all three show up at once. Every excuse you've ever made, every comfort you've ever chosen over growth, every lie your mind has ever told you, none of that has to define what happens next. The only thing standing between the life you have and the life you're capable of is your willingness to stop negotiating with weakness and start demanding more from yourself. Starting today, starting now, starting with the very next hard thing you were about to avoid. What if the excuse you made this morning is the exact reason your life still looks the same as it did last year? What if your body isn't actually tired? Your mind just quit before your body ever got the chance to. Every single day, you make a choice nobody sees. The easy option or the hard one. And every single time you pick easy, you're voting for the same weak version of yourself to show up tomorrow. Comfort isn't safety. It's a slow, quiet death of everything you could have become. Pain isn't your enemy. It's a door. And most people are too scared to even touch the handle. So what if today, just for one moment, you stopped listening to the voice that begs you to stop and did the one thing you've been avoiding for months? That single decision made right now could be the exact moment everything starts to change. Stay with me, because what I'm about to tell you next might be the only thing standing between you and the life you keep saying you want. The 40% rule, when your body screams, I'm done, when your lungs are burning and your legs are shaking and every fiber of your being says stop, you have only tapped into 40% of your actual capacity. That's not motivation talk. That's a documented truth about human physiology. Your brain, as a survival mechanism, shuts you down at 40% to protect you from a limit that doesn't actually exist yet. The shocking part? Almost everyone quits exactly there, at the first alarm, believing it's their true max. But your real ceiling is hiding behind pain, behind fear, behind the voice telling you it's over. The people who accomplish extraordinary things are not more talented. They are simply more willing to keep going after the quitting point most humans stop at. This isn't about being reckless with your safety. It's about recognizing that the mind gives up long before the body actually has to. The discomfort zone comfort is the quiet killer of potential. Most people spend their entire lives designing a life that avoids pain. Softer chairs, easier routes, shorter workouts, smaller goals. But here's the shocking truth. Every ounce of growth you've ever experienced happened in a moment you wanted to quit. Your body doesn't build muscle from rest. It builds it from tearing fibers apart under stress. Your mind works the same way.